Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and let's talk about some affordable foundation, shall we? These are two that I picked up from The Ordinary. I got them from the Beautylish website, and let's just basically say they're high coverage, they're affordable, and I thought we would check them out. I did pick up two different colors. I have 1.0N and 1.2P, just because I wasn't really sure what color I would be. Look at me rhyming and stuff. So today, you guys, I'm gonna do this video a little bit different, but before we get into that, I really want to pull up, okay, if my phone would stop being a complete asshole. You get 1 fluid ounce. It does have a pump, and I actually have to be honest, I'm going to bring this in close to you guys. I really like this component. It's a nice, like, frosted looking plastic bottle, and then it also has this really nice, like, matte frosted looking pump. Pumps are key. Let me just point out, they're drugstore people, but what I really love about this is that it's super affordable. The bottle itself is only $6.90, which is super affordable. But I love that they actually did put some attention into the detail of the packaging, just the overall look. The feel of it is very nice. It is plastic, but again, it feels higher quality than a lot of other, even high-end ones that I've tried, if I'm being completely honest. But neither here nor there. It is $6.90 on the Beautylish website. It has 4 out of 5 stars with 91 reviews, and it looks like their shade range isn't awful. Looks like there are, what, 21 shades? Oh my god, it says 21 shades right there, and I just counted them because I'm a dork. But you guys, it's just like, it's been one of those days for me where everything I go to do, I'm just like, do you actually have a functioning brain inside of your head? But it does give you a little description of each color as you choose it. So 1.0N, which is this guy right here, is described as very fair with neutral undertones and a silvery luminous sheen. And then I also picked up 1.2P, which is described as light with pink undertones and a semi-matte finish. So I picked up both of these because A, there's a neutral undertone and there's a pink undertone, and it's sometimes you kind of have to get to know a brand before you know what they determine to be which undertone. Typically, I consider myself more of a neutral undertone. Sometimes I go pink. It really just depends on what the foundation looks like. So I liked that one said that it had a luminous kind of finish to it, and it's a little lighter. So I thought if push comes to shove, I'll just mix them together and we'll make something work. I'm not really that picky, but you guys already know that. It says that this is a full coverage foundation with a lightweight, creamy feel. The foundation offers a natural looking full coverage with a smooth semi-matte finish and without a heavy cakey look. It is, okay, treated with stuff, nobody cares. It is oil-free, cruelty-free, semi-matte, full coverage. It says, lightly shake the bottle before use, dispense a small amount onto the skin or on the back of your hand, smooth over your skin, blending toward the middle of the face. Now, this was one of those weird foundations. I say weird in, you know, air quotes, because there's been a little bit of like, yes, I love it, no, I hate it for oily skin people. This is not a new foundation by any stretch of the imagination, so don't think I'm trying to trick you. But some people with oily skin really, really loved it, and some people with oily skin really hated it. They said that it made them look cakey and ugly and dry and just like all these things. Other people that had oily skin loved it because it controlled the look and appearance of their acne. So I think that this could go one of two ways. When I first reviewed the Jouer foundation this was months ago, I had a couple people in the comments that were really frustrated with me because I used a silicone primer and it was a water-based liquidy foundation. Now, based on what I can find on the packaging for this foundation, the first ingredient is water, and then you go down, and then there's dimethicone, But basically, to my understanding, this is going to be a water-based, more fluid foundation. Let's take a look here. La 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 bamba, da 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 sada bi da da foundation. Got to shake it, hoodali wadi. Tell you what, that is a slippery freaking situation there. It does feel very water-based, so okay. So the top one is 1.0N, and the bottom one here, the top is the top, and then the bottom is the top. But then this guy right here is 1.2P. I have to be honest, I think I like the undertone of this one better because it's a neutral undertone, but I like the depth of this one. I may or may not mix them together. I haven't decided. We'll get there when we get there, but as I was saying, I wanted to swatch those real quick just to kind of see what colors I was looking at. When I originally reviewed the Jouer foundation, a lot of people had issues because I used a silicone-based primer. Now, I used the same primers in every video because I like to keep it consistent. If I'm going to review a product for you guys, I feel like it's important to always keep, you know, that part very consistent because you guys get to know me, my skin, my tendencies, what I do, what I use, so on and so forth. It needs to be in a place where you guys can say, oh yes, you know, yeah, this, okay, she uses this all the time, so we know it works, da 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 da. However, it is a water-based, or the Jouer one was water-based, and you guys said, you know, or some of you did, not all of you. Some of you agreed with my approach, which is always fun, but I always like to kind of talk about what other people say as well. So some of you said, no, you have to use a water-based primer as well as a water-based foundation together. Otherwise, your foundation can repel against your primer, which does make sense. I can totally see how that is the situation. So I thought today we would do things a little bit different. We are actually going to play with two primers. On one half of my face, I am going to do my Peter Thomas Roth Skin to Die For. You guys have seen me use this about 3 million times. It's my go-to primer. I use it every day. It's just a really good primer for keeping the pore filling, mattifying face situation under wraps. However, I am also going to use my Too Faced Hangover RX primer. This is the one that is basically, it is water-based. It's very hydrating. A lot of people with dry skin really, really love this. I use this on days where my skin feels a little bit lackluster, or I'm not going to be wearing my foundation for a long time, and I don't like to, you know, dry it out and try to mattify it out if I don't have to. So I will be doing this on one half, this on the other, just to kind of see, you know, maybe if it does wear better with one than the other. But I will say, just, you know, going forward in this video, this does not control my oil nearly as well as this. So, you know, from an oil perspective, we will have to judge them completely separate for that purpose. And, you know, I just want to be very open and honest about that whole situation. So let's go ahead and, like, let's apply some primer. Where's my mirror? My mirror. All right, got you guys all zoomed in. So I'm going to start by, wow, those oxidized. That is so much darker than it started. Okay, once I get my primers on, I will put a fresh drop on my hand and we will look at it because that's so dark. Whoa. Okay, anyways, sorry. So I'm going to take some of the Peter Thomas Roth here. I'm just going to take some on my finger and I'm going to apply it and just kind of press it in. A lot of times I do concentrate this in the more porous and oily parts of my face because obviously that's its intention. All right, got that on. And now for the other side here, let me wipe my hands off. We're going to go in with this one. This really is like a really nice feeling on the skin too. Okay, I want to apply a fresh drop of these so you guys can see the oxidizing I'm talking about. So there's a fresh drop. Here, hold on, let me actually spread that out. That is a fresh drop. Do you see? And that's literally only been a couple minutes. Like, that is a significant difference for that top foundation. And then I want to also do a fresh drop of the other one. Oh wow, that's crazy. Like, do you see the difference in the oxidizing? That's like a shade and a half. Especially for that bottom one, that's crazy. Oh my gosh. Alright, and as you guys know, I do often go in with a kabuki brush as well as a beauty blender. Normally I do half and half. I'm going to kind of quarter it up and try both on both sides today because we are testing two different primers and I don't want anyone to come for me and be like, oh girl, I know you trying to lie. I know you trying to be all shady. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. So we're going to go in with the shade 1.0N and we're going to apply that to the back of our hand like so. I'm going to start with a beauty blender because also in the other video, that Jouer video, a lot of people said that pressing it into the skin was the best way to do it and really working it around with a sponge. So I'm just kind of doing what y'all have suggested, but this is supposed to be like super full coverage. That was not super full anything. Okay, so that looks nice. I mean, it doesn't look bad. I'm not saying that it's like super intense full coverage. I'm going to take some now and I'm going to put it, I'm only dispensing this like one pump at a time, by the way. So if you see me like constantly going back for more, that's why. I just don't want to take too much and have it like slide all over. But now I'm going to take this on my Y6 from Morphe and I'm going to kind of see if I'm maybe missing something. Maybe I should be building up more with a brush. I definitely want to give it though a fair shot because I was so pissed and upset that the Jouer didn't work for me. I tried it multiple ways off of camera, like you know, of course, all the ways that people don't ever see you do it, but I could not make that one work for me. And now I can't find it because I was going to go back and try mixing it with some other foundations just for the coverage on that Jouer foundation, you guys, is stunning. Like, it's next level coverage. So, and a couple people pointed out that I also did pick up a shade that was really light for me, which I definitely did. That shade was super light, I think. So, I don't know. I've considered like trying it again and maybe, you know, just to see if I could make it work. This applies pretty good with a brush. It's not like the best though, because there's light little streak marks, but so far what's getting me is the coverage really isn't like all it was hyped up to be, I don't think. Like, don't get me wrong, it's covering, but it's not like, I can still see like the pink in my cheek up here. I can still see like some of my acne poking through. Like, so far I would say this was more of like a medium kind of coverage. And it feels a little oily, which is interesting. I don't know. Maybe that's just like really light feeling. I'm not sure. Okay, I am going to like let this side kind of set for a second. And I'm going to start going in on the other side. Same situation, same beauty blender. I'm going to kind of alternate around. Maybe this time though, I'll start with the brush and then go in over top with the blender. Just to kind of give both sides a fair shot. We're going to really see which one we like better. Like, look at that. When you first start, I think you get a decent amount of coverage. But like, I don't know, I feel like as you work it into the skin is when it kind of goes a little bit cattywampus. Paige, the whole point of a headband is to have your hair tucked back, and I had like a giant chunk right there. Ay, you guys. So anyways, and I don't want you guys to ever think too, like, I'm not one of those people that goes into the comment section like, you know, looking for bullies or looking to like, you know, deal with what the haters say, quote unquote, because quite frankly, I could like give two shits. Like, I couldn't even find you one fuck that I give. If I had to like go rummage through my whole closet, I couldn't even find one. But what I do like is the idea of improving my reviews and making sure that, you know, I'm really addressing everything and that I'm giving you guys all the information I possibly can, because I feel like building that reputation and that rapport with a channel, with a YouTuber, is key. It's kind of like the news, how like, you know, if you hear something about a news station that you don't like, you know, you're not going to want to listen to them. You're not going to be inclined to be like, oh, I definitely trust them. You're not going to. And I always want you guys to know that you can trust me, that you can trust that I've like done my research or that I've listened or, you know, whatever the situation is. So it's not like I'm over here like, oh my God, they don't like me in the comments, like big shocker. But anyways, back to the foundation. You guys, this side looks really nice. Like, it definitely has some light stipple marks from the brush like this side had, but I do think that it built up beautifully with a brush. Like, wow, beautifully. Now, it's not drying down or anything. I am going to have to go over this side with a brush, but just so you guys are aware, and I don't know, maybe if I sit back like this, you can see there's a little bit more coverage on this side than there was with this coverage, but I have not had to smooth it out with a beauty blender yet. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. And I used about half the amount of product to do this. So let's go ahead. Now we're going to smooth over top of it with a beauty blender. I know we're probably going to lose a little coverage if I'm even remotely predicting the future here, but that's all right. We're going to check it out anyways, because you know I like to have all the info. You guys want to know like what foundation I was literally heartbroken that I could not make work? Was the Huda Beauty Faux Filter foundation. That foundation was stunning. It was literally the coverage of my dreams. It looked beautiful. It set pretty well. And it just was really comfortable to wear. But for the life of me, it oxidized literally 10 shades too dark. Like, I would put it on and I'd be this color, and then in like an hour, I was the color of this brush. Like, it was ridiculous. And no matter what I did, I tried to mix it. I tried to do everything. And it's like, to this day, my biggest upset when it comes to foundations. Like, I loved that foundation so much. But, you know, part of the ongoing struggle to actually have a company that makes a shade that's light. They're like, oh, it's the lightest shade. Literally the color of a bronzer. Like, no, that's not light, but hey, nice try. Okay, so far at this point in the game, I'm not thinking that primers are making a huge difference yet. But I do think that this side looks beautiful and a little bit more, you know, snatchified than this side. I want to try going over this one more time with just the little bit of product I have left on my hand. I want to try building it up just a little bit more. It's building okay. It's definitely medium to full buildable, but like I always tell you guys, I am a little bit on the outlier scale when it comes to coverage, because I do need a lot just to cover up redness and irritation and acne and all that kind of stuff. So I try not to hold products like too accountable while still being fair. My face looks very luminous, definitely needs to be set. I'm going to go ahead, I will finish up the rest of my face. I actually have to jump over, shoot another video, and I will come back on here. We're going to talk about this whole situation when it's done, and I want to really give it a chance though to get to know the primers before I start making any snap judgments. But so far, this is, you know, pre-set, pre-concealer, pre-everything. You guys can really get a feel for what we're looking at as far as coverage. You guys are used to my face, used to my acne. You know what things look like and what they don't. So here is this shot before everything else. I'm going to jump over, do the other video, finish everything up, and we will stop back on here in a minute and we will talk about what I be thinking. Okay guys, so this is where we are at right now. I know that you're probably like, whoa, what happened? But you should have seen the rest of this video already. We went in, we played with some stuff, but you know, the ColourPop, the luster dust things, you've already seen all of it, but that's where all of this came from. So as far as this foundation is going, I really, you guys, like, I'm slightly perplexed because I'm not going to sit here and say that I think there's a huge difference like side to side. I think that both sides look literally identical, especially like I'm up close in real life. They look the same, like in a weird, like, I don't know what I expected. I don't know if I honestly thought there'd be like a huge difference. They look, what gets me is that like the Peter Thomas Roth, it's supposed to be like kind of like slightly pore filling, slightly more mattifying. I've been filming now for 3 hours, okay? That's not no time at all. My face looks exactly the same. And just so you guys know, I went in, and this is standard for me, I went in with Tarte Shape Tape. I kept everything else the same. The way that I applied it, blended it out, went in with my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder, which I am in the shade 05 Fair, but I went in with this right here. This is what I use every single time to do my under eye, always, because it looks so beautiful on my under eye specifically, but anywhere that concealer goes, this also goes. And then I went in with my Coty Airspun, which is right here. I go in with the extra coverage because your girl got all kinds of redness on her face, and it's just a great powder. And I did powder the entire face with this because it's good, and that's how I always do it. A lot of you could very well say like, oh, well, you powdered your whole face, that's the problem. Okay, but look, I have to keep some areas of this the same, and I'm super oily. So like, before you go on like, oh, I hate my life, like, leave it. Just shut up, all right? My God, don't you gotta complain about everything. I have to keep some variables the same because I'm an oily queen at the end of the day. Again, I've been filming for 3 hours now. I do want to scoot you guys in a little bit closer because I want you guys to see that at this point in time, nothing looks any different. There is almost no cakiness. I have a little bit around my nose, like on the sides, which is super normal for me. It looks a little dry right now, which is kind of uncharacteristic. And this was only a semi-matte finish as far as this foundation goes. So I'm a little bit curious as to why it's still this matte, but that's not saying anything. I mean, at this point in the game, anything is still possible. I will tell you though, and I don't think it's going to show up on camera because I had to blend this literally down to my neckline. It oxidized so much darker, like probably 2 shades darker than my natural skin. I could not believe it. It went from being the color that I put on to almost as dark as my Dior Forever foundation. Like, it went that dark that quick. I was like, oh hell no. Couldn't believe it. But I think that that's it as far as this check-in goes. Let's scoot you guys in super quick. I don't want to bring you guys so close that you're like, it's the end of the day check-in, but I want you guys to come close enough so that you can see, like, my skin is covered. Everything blended pretty nicely, actually. I still keep feeling like this side just looks nicer than this side, but I think it might be because I have a little bit more texture and acne on this side. I'm not really sure. But I just want you guys to kind of get a good shot of everything. There's my nose right there. It's still the nose. And then my forehead was getting a little bit kind of crepey looking all over it. Like, not one side more than the other, but that's not uncommon for my forehead. The only other thing I noticed with this, and this is like a little bit subject. I had a hair, this is the dumbest sentence. I had a hair in my nose and it was like right here. And so I went in and I like literally like did this, like I just tapped the end of my nose. and like foundation came off. And I was like, well, that's weird. You know, I just repowdered. I didn't think anything of it. Then I went in to do like some slight nose contour, like you can see. I love to snatch my little nose. I might have a little nose, but you bet your ass I'm gonna snatch my little nose. So I went in with a little bit of that bronzer, you know, just a light amount with my little brush. And it did start to lift a little tiny bit. And I don't think you can notice now because just the way that I do my powders, it kind of went away. But it was interesting to me because I kept feeling like this foundation wanted to lift off of my skin. Like it wasn't tacked down, if that makes any sense. So those are really the only things that I've noticed so far. I feel like this is like battle of so many things. Like we're testing a foundation. We're checking out which primer goes better. We're really like, it's going to be longer than a normal foundation video because we're looking at so many things. You know what I'm saying? Look at my eyes. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. Guys, I'm psychotic. I'm going to go and I'll check back in with you guys at the end of the day and we're going to talk about how this wore, what I think. Is one side really better than the other for testing out this friggin' foundation? I'll be right back. Gotta go take some thumbnail pictures. Alright, you guys, so here's the dealio. This makeup has been on my face for about 9 hours, if not a little bit more. And I've got a couple thoughts. Now, at first, I was going to make the very bold claim that there is no difference between the sides. However, I think when I'm like up close, like real close, like too close for comfort, I think that there are a little bit, like tiny subtle differences between the two sides. I think that it settled into some fine lines a little bit more on this side than on this side. I think this side of my forehead looks a tiny bit crepier. And that's about it. Like, honestly, there's very little difference. It didn't like lift off in any other odd way. My nose looks pretty cakey. Quite frankly, on both sides. Like my whole face, it doesn't look bad. It just looks really chalky overall. So I think if I were to use this again, which I'll definitely continue to try and work with it because I think it like went on, it's really lightweight. You don't need a lot of it. It builds up in really nice thin layers, which is awesome. So again, this half over here is the Peter Thomas Roth side and this half over here was the Hangover RX primer. So you can see between the two, again, I think this side might look a little bit more like porous or a little bit more annoyed than this side. But overall, I think both sides actually look pretty similar if you're looking just head on. You can see there's the creasing I'm talking about, both sides of the nose. I do think that this side looks a tiny bit cakier up close than this side does, but nothing that I would, you know, really complain about. As far as the forehead goes, I think that naturally I just have more texture over here right now than on this side, but I think both sides look pretty similar. And then you can see the overall cheek plane looks really nice. The coverage stayed put all day, which is awesome. I feel like this side might look a little bit smoother, but again, lately I've had a lot more texture, redness, acne, bumps, all that stuff right here. So I can't judge it. I can't judge it too harshly based on that, but overall I think it looks pretty good. And then around the mouth, you can see it's got a little bit of breakage and stuff happening, but it's not that awful. Little bit of an extra like smile line creasing on that side than this side, but that's not so bad. So overall, you guys, it's not like, you know, I hate this foundation. It's not like I don't think, you know, I think it has a place for sure in like my face arsenal. I think it wore pretty well. I think the coverage, that's probably my favorite part is how lightweight it felt. So if it were me and I was going to wear this again, I would say that I would either go in and maybe do either color correcting or concealing like the, you know, what blemishes I do have and the redness, and then go overall with this because I do think that it wore very nicely on the skin. Or again, I would use it to kind of lighten up another foundation and maybe use it to lighten up both in the figurative sense and in the literal sense, like lighten the color but also lighten the way that it feels, because again it wore really nicely and it set very nicely on the face. And I was also really surprised that it set that nicely given how much like powder I applied to it, because that part made me really wary. I wasn't sure if, you know, because I have to set my foundation, my entire face has to be set, and if anything it could use it like to be set 3 or 4 or 5, 10 times. And I did not blot at all today, and this is all the oil that is on my nose. Like this is it right here. And there's literally like no oil to speak of. What you're seeing, the shine you're seeing, is actually my highlight. There is no actual oil on my nose. It's crazy. So I think as far as it being for oily, I mean, it worked really well at that side of it. It didn't do so hot over like the porous areas of my face, like smoothing over pores or filling them in, and like, you know, how my Dior kind of goes whoo, and just really creates like this magical looking canvas. This did not give me that canvas. This showed my pores, that's for sure, but most of my foundations do. So that's not like a huge detriment, but it's definitely something that you're kind of like, it's not my favorite. But if I could find a good primer to help me take care of that situation, then that would just be a bonus now, wouldn't it? All right, you guys, that is it for this video. I really hope that you have enjoyed a more affordable foundation option, because you guys are always like, girl, where is our affordable foundation? And I keep looking, I keep trying to find good ones, and like, I'm just never that impressed with them. So you can't hate me for not wanting to bring you shit foundations. I'm sorry, it's just not my thing. But this one I saw, and I've been super curious about it for a while, and it was $6.90, and I got it on Beautylish, and I was like, okay, I mean, why not? So you guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this, and as always, please do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe down below, because I put out new videos constantly, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a lot, and then I like do weekly vlogs. It's like a whole thing. It's a whole situation on this channel. There's a lot happening. I hope you have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I will see you in the next one. The Ordinary foundation is done and it oxidized a lot, but pretty.